In today's video, I'm going to answer some of your guys' questions. I'm also going to show you guys one of my go-tos, a nice low-calorie flatbread pizza. Alright, so we're about to sit down and have a little bit of breakfast, do a little bit of work, but as I said before, I'm not a big breakfast guy, so I have my usual cup of coffee. I usually have 1 or 2 cups every morning, as well as always starting off the day with a bottle of water. I generally try to have 4 or 5 of these throughout the day. But I just wanted to jump into a couple of questions that you guys have asked me on social media, so we're going to go straight into that. We're just going to answer a couple this morning, and then I've got a little bit of work to do. Some teacher life work as well as some client work. I'm a professional certified trainer, so I have a couple clients that I'm working with. So I have some work to do for them right now. We're just going to go straight into the questions. The first one comes from Simba Herd 25. What time do you wake up and why? So that is actually a very different question depending on what time of the year it is. I'm a teacher, so I don't work all throughout the year. At least I don't work super early mornings all throughout the year. Generally in the summer, I set my own schedule as a personal trainer. In the fall and winter months, during the school year, it's a little bit different. It's a lot more structured. I generally, in those times during the week, wake up at about 5, 6 o'clock. I used to wake up at about 4:30 and work out beforehand and then go to work. But since I've had my daughter, it's just not really sustainable. So I usually get up at about 5 or 6 during the day, during the week, to be able to get the things that I need done in the morning, to be able to say goodbye to my daughter, because yes, sometimes she is awake that early, and then go do my day at work teaching. During the weekends, I used to sleep until about 7, 8 o'clock, but just recently I wake up at 6 no matter what. So generally I'm usually up around 6 o'clock every single day. During days like the summertime, I might extend that to about 7 or 8, but I generally don't like to sleep in. I just don't feel great afterwards. So at least I try to always be up by 8 o'clock at the latest, and that's really sleeping in for me. It didn't used to be that way. I really was never a morning person growing up, and I just kind of became that way because of desire. I just wanted to get my stuff done earlier in the morning. I'm much more of a fan of getting your work done in the morning and then being able to relax in the afternoon, evening. So our second question comes from DWilbs7. What is your favorite football boot currently? Now, for those of you that don't know, I talked about a little bit in the previous channel, I am a big soccer head, and by football, he means soccer. I absolutely love playing it, coaching it, watching it, everything about it. And my favorite football boot currently has to be the Nike Tiempos. Absolutely love the Nike Tiempos. I've tried other boots before. I still wear other boots now. I'll try them out if they're on sale, things like that. But the Nike Tiempos have been the best fit for my humongously large feet. I wear about a size 13 foot, and it's extremely wide. So finding shoes that fit and that are comfortable to play in are very complicated, or it's very difficult. So I definitely have to say the Nike Tiempos. Really doesn't matter which version, they're usually all very good. Our next question comes from Campbell_Ben. What are your thoughts on intermittent fasting, and do you/have you done it before? And this is a great one to end our morning on, because this one's going to be a little bit of a story. I talked a little bit in a previous video and how I got hopped into a whole bunch of different fad diets that are out there in an effort to try to get back on track with my fat loss. I'd kind of been plateauing throughout my time. And I did turn to intermittent fasting during that time. And I do see it as a helpful kind of tool if you are able to sustain that. Intermittent fasting is all about eating in a specific window. It's never a good idea to really eat super late. It just it makes you feel kind of crummy when you wake up in the morning. But I did do intermittent fasting for a while. I guess you could say I kind of do intermittent fasting now, but I don't really adhere to it. I don't force myself into it. I just naturally don't really eat until 11 o'clock just because I'm not hungry in the morning. There are definitely benefits to it. I've seen some really good progress from it. I've seen people do really good things from it. But there are 2 things that you have to be aware of when you're doing intermittent fasting. First, you have to still be in a calorie deficit. So many people that I've talked to, that I've researched when I was trying to get into intermittent fasting, have said you can just eat whatever you want during that window. No. You still need to be mindful of what you're eating. You still need to be in a calorie deficit, whatever your calorie deficit looks like. If you don't, if you still eat in a calorie surplus, it doesn't matter if you limit that window, you are still going to gain weight. You're still going to struggle losing weight. So you just want to make sure that you're in a calorie deficit, even if you're doing intermittent fasting. It just means that you can have larger meals during that time. I still only recommend having 2 or 3 meals in that window. I wouldn't just graze throughout the day. That usually ends up calculating into a lot more calories than we think we do. So I would just say make sure that you stay in that calorie deficit if you are going to intermittent fast. It can be a very useful tool. And tip number 2, the concept of waiting and waiting and waiting. The food just kind of goes to the back of their mind and they're constantly thinking about it throughout their morning. And then when they do get to that first meal, it's very easy to binge and overeat in that first meal. So if it's something that you really want to get into, I would say make sure that it's sustainable, make sure that's something that you can do for the long term, and make sure that you're mindful of what you're eating during it. But intermittent fasting can be a really, really great tool. Again, you just want to make sure that you do your due diligence and make sure you're doing what works for you. So we've got a couple more questions to go through. I'm going to save these until later on in the day. Right now, I'm going to get a little bit of work done for school, as well as get some work done for some of my clients. So that's how I'm going to be working through this morning. So just finished some work, sent a couple plans to a couple clients, did some grading, hashtag teach your life. So now it is lunchtime and we are gonna make a nice healthy flatbread pepperoni pizza. I'm super basic. I love any good style pepperoni pizza. Let me know what your favorite pizza is in the comment section down below. For this recipe, all we're going to need is some Joseph Lavash bread. Now you can use any sort of flatbread that you have at your local store. I found this to be really, really cool and really nice. It is only 60 calories for 1/2 of this, so we're actually going to be using a whole for 120 calories. We're going to be using some fat-free mozzarella cheese. I said before in some previous videos, absolutely love fat-free cheese. We're going to be using turkey pepperoni for our protein source and just some regular pizza sauce. You can really just use any brand as long as it's lower calorie. This one's 25 calories per serving, so that's all we're going to do. So we've already got our stove preheating. That's going to go to 375. We're just going to start off over on our pan, hitting it with some nonstick. We don't really have to go wild on that, just a little bit will do. And we're going to lay out our Lavash bread on the pan. I like to do it on aluminum foil, not just straight on the pan, just because it's easier to clean up. Now what I have seen people do is to actually spray the Lavash bread itself and then put that in the oven to crisp it up. I'm not a huge fan of super crispy pizza, so I really just put it as is. But we're gonna go to our food scale. And as I said before, whenever we're trying to lose weight, whenever we're trying to track, it's really important to have a food scale. So 1 serving of the pizza sauce is 61 grams. So we're actually gonna weigh out 2 servings because we're gonna turn this into 2 different flatbread pizzas. Alright, and that's the last of our pizza sauce, so lucked out there. This is 2 servings of our pizza sauce. Next thing we're going to weigh out is 2 servings of our mozzarella cheese. 1 serving is 28 grams. So we're just going to put that in our next bowl. There's 1 serving. And there is our 2nd serving. So we've got our sauce and our cheese set. All we're gonna do is just dress the pizza now. All right, so there is our pizza sauce all laid out. Now, I am a big pepperoni lover. So I'm actually doing 2 servings of our pepperoni, which is 16 slices. Oh, 1 serving is 16 slices, so I can have even more. So I actually like to put my pizza, my pepperoni underneath the cheese as well as on top of the cheese. So we're just gonna start out by laying out 8 slices under. And of course we're doubling our recipe because we're making 2 different flatbreads. So 8 slices per flatbread underneath. All right, now we're just going to dress with our cheese. So now we're going to put 8 slices per flatbread on top. All right, there we go. Our flatbread is ready. We're gonna put this in for about 8 minutes. You can always eyeball it if it's under or over. Just pay attention to it a little bit. But it's gonna go in the oven for 8 minutes, and then we're going to enjoy our lunch. This is a nice, quick, easy meal to make on the go. It took only 15 minutes total, plus a little bit of prep time, but if you're craving pizza, you still want to stay within your calorie budget, I definitely recommend going the flatbread pepperoni route. So we're going to leave this now to sit, and we're going to come back in a couple minutes to cut it, and then enjoy lunch. All right, so now just a nice, easy slice in half. Not the straightest of lines, but that's okay, it's all going to the same place. So we've got our 2 slices, our 2 pieces of flatbread pizza. Look at that, so much food it doesn't even fit on the plate. This is going to be filling, it's going to be nutritious, full of protein, and this is going to be an excellent lunch, I can feel it. All right, and it is time to enjoy our lunch. This thing is just massive. Before I go too far, let's talk about macros for this. The entire 2 flatbreads, again, this is 2 servings worth. Big guy, big appetite. 2 servings worth is 400 calories, just 400 for both of these. 50 grams of protein, 32 grams of carbs, 11 grams of fat. Very, very low calorie, very, very filling. This is just, I can't wait to dig into this thing. We're also going to pick up where we left off and answer some more of your questions. Look at this thing. This thing's just massive. 2-hander. That's good. And as I said before, always gotta make sure I'm having a couple of these during the day. So our next question comes from Nat Tella, or Nat_Tella. How do you fit so many things in while also being an involved, wow, can't read. How do you fit so many things in while also being an involved parent? Now this is somebody that knows me pretty well. They know I teach full time. Just started as a personal trainer, running this and playing soccer, as well as, being a dad to a 1-year-old. There's a lot on my plate. And honestly, it's just a matter of understanding balance and noting my priorities. My family is always going to be number one, and everything else takes a back seat to that. And then it's just a matter of what's really important. What do I prioritize? And also, it's really important to have a schedule for the week and for the day. When you've got so many different things that are time commitments, A, make sure you don't overcommit, and B, make sure the things that you do commit to are written down. I keep multiple calendars, including a shared calendar with my wife on this phone, so we're able to really figure out what our plans are and make sure that we at least always have something scheduled where it's just us two chilling together as well. Because if family isn't the number one priority, then why do this in the first place? So that is part of how I juggle everything. Also, I've really learned to cut out unnecessary habits. I can't tell you how many times I sat and watched Netflix for hours on end. And I'm not saying watching TV is bad. I watch TV all the time, but I've started to really structure how much TV time I'm watching. I've actually started to time some things on my watch as well. So if I have some time, some downtime, I might watch a half an hour of TV a day, or maybe watch a movie with the family. Otherwise, I'm focused on the things that matter, spending time with my daughter, having time to go to the gym rather than sitting down watching TV, having time to go to soccer instead of, going out to eat at a meal. And that's just the choices that you make. There's always going to be some things that you give up to get other things. But you got to be okay with the choices that you make, and you have to know what your priorities are. So that's how I balance all of that. I just really think about what are my priorities, what are my goals, and what are the things that are going to help me to reach those goals. Our next question is from proverbial_lyrics. What is the hardest part of your journey? That's actually a really good question. I definitely found one of the hardest things when I started my journey was keeping up the habit when everybody else around you would either make fun of you or joke or kind of judge you for your choices. There's quite a few times where I just wouldn't eat the meals that my family shared. It's just a matter of personal preference. I knew for my calorie budget it wasn't going to be effective. Whether it was going out to eat, I chose a garden salad for a couple of meals just because I knew I needed to get some things under control. And I'm not saying you have to only eat a salad when you go out to eat, but I knew where I was and where I was starting, and there was a lot of things that I needed to cut back and control. I got made fun of a lot in my house for weighing out my foods at the start. Now, just pushing through, nobody really says anything. It's just a matter of what's important to me, what do I think matters, and just really blocking out what other people are saying, those outside influences that try to dissuade you from what your goals are. And then just making sure that I continue to make time for my family. It was a struggle in the early stages of my daughter being born, of being able to be at home to help with the wife and still be able to be at the gym for the work that I needed. All right, so I'm going to go back to focusing on my flatbread because it's starting to get cold, so I'm going to make sure that I answer the rest of you guys' questions right after the meal. Oh man, that was delicious. I'm going to stop here and answer the rest of the questions that you guys dropped me, and then take a little break and finish off my lunch. So our next question comes from Ella Myrtle. At what age will you introduce your daughter to joining a sports team? Now, I'm a huge sports guy. Hopefully my daughter loves sports even a little bit as much as me. I know there's a lot of different types programs that are out there, so probably around the 3-4 age, as long as everything with COVID calms down. I'd love to get her in as early as possible, but if she doesn't like sports, I'm not going to force her to do it. But I really hope that she will, as soon as she can run around and effectively kick a ball or throw a ball or catch, without falling over all the time, and throwing her right into a sports program. So, yeah. My next question is also from Ella Myrtle. Is there a specific sport you want your daughter to play? I think I've said at least 3 or 4 different times in various videos, absolutely love soccer. I would be so thrilled if my daughter started to play soccer. However, I'm not going to put her in a box. I'm going to let her play whatever sport or instrument or musical, whatever she wants to do, and just support her through that. But absolutely would love it if she played soccer. And the last question comes from I Love Man United 11, fellow Manchester United fan. Always good to see on the channel. I need help with nutrition. Now that's a very vague question, so I'm going to kind of break this down into a couple different pieces. First, I would say, what is your overall goal? All right, so if your goal is to maintain or lose weight, if your goal is to gain weight, first you want to understand what your goal is, and then the next thing you need to do based on what your goal is figure out where you need to set your calorie limit at. Now, I would say the first thing that you should do is figure out what your basal metabolic rate is, or your BMR. Just figure out what calories do you need in a day to survive based on your own genetic makeup, based on your own activity level, based on your age. There's a lot of really great applications out there that will calculate some of those for you. I used ones getting started from a website called Physique. I'll actually link the website in the description so you guys can take a look at that just to get a sense of what your calorie limits are. And then from there, you figure out how to best budget it. If you want to maintain weight, then you need to figure out how many calories do I need to eat so I stay at the same weight. If you want to lose weight, then you need to figure out how many calories do I need to eat to be in a deficit so I can lose weight, and then calculate how many calories do I need to eat so I can lose 1 or 2 pounds a week. I wouldn't go crazy and try to lose more than 2 pounds a week. That's just not smart. That's very dangerous. And from there, you also want to make sure that you figure out what are my overall goals. Do I have a problem with desserts? If I do, maybe figure out ways that I can change my desserts to make them a little more healthy. Maybe I need to get a little more self-disciplined so I don't eat as many. If you're always going out to fast food, maybe limit how much you're eating fast food or cut it out entirely. If you're eating too much soda or drinking too much soda, then maybe cut that back or eliminate it entirely. So the first thing I would say is, definitely make sure you figure out what your goals are, and then the most important piece in all of that is your calories. Secondly, I would say make sure that you're getting enough protein. I always go by the process of, can I at least eat what my body weight goal is in protein? So if I want to be 180 pounds, I try to eat at least 180 grams of protein. If I want to be 220 pounds, then I want to eat at least 220 grams of protein. Me personally, I want to try and get down to about 205 pounds, 210 pounds. That's just where I feel the most comfortable and the best as far as playing and exercising. So I'm trying to eat at least 205 grams of protein a day. So that is what I would recommend as far as overall nutrition. So thank you guys very much for your comments and your questions. I'm going to go back to eating my lunch, and we will catch you guys later. If you liked this video, you want to see more recipes, you want to see more content, hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, and we'll see you guys in the next one.